Let's talk about field of view and magnification and how that affects us when we're out in the field. When we talk about field of view, we're always pushing for the widest field of view we can get. What that means is when we magnify a subject through a binocular or a spotting scope, we want to magnify the image at say 8 or 10 times, but we want to see the widest view of it that we can. We don't want to lose any details out to the sides. This makes life easier for finding a subject, locating a subject more rapidly. The wider the field of view, the better it is to locate a subject. It's a more immersive experience. So for example, if I'm sea watching or I'm viewing some birds on a distant shoreline maybe, and there's lots of different species there, wide field of view lets me pan, see what's going on, and I can find the subjects more rapidly. When it comes to binoculars, usually a binocular is of a fixed magnification. So for example, these Kowa here, they are 10 times magnification. So when I look through them, I'm seeing the scene 10 times magnified. Usually when we see the specification on optics, the field of view is measured by the distance at 1,000 meters. So what that means is, if I look at a subject at 10 times magnification, at 1,000 meters distance, the specification given to me is the width of that scene that I will see at that 1,000 meters distance magnified by 10 times. So what that means is I am seeing a width of 108 meters of the scene I'm magnifying by 10 times at 1,000 meters distance. If it was a narrower field of view, I might see 90 meters at that scene. If it was wider, I might see 120 meters, all at the same magnification and all at that 1,000 meters distance. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what you're looking for when you're trying to measure about whether an optic is wide angle or it's got a narrower field of view. When it comes to using a spotting scope, you are using a much higher magnification, therefore the field of view is reduced because you're seeing a smaller part of that scene in front of you because you're magnifying it more. Some spotting scope eyepieces are fixed, which means they're one magnification, maybe a 30 times or 35 times, and you'll get one field of view. You can't change the zoom, you can't zoom in, you can't zoom out. So whatever the field of view is, 30 or 35 times, that's what you get. But most people will tend to go for a zoom eyepiece because of the versatility of being able to use it at a wider angle, a wider field of view at a low magnification, and then you can zoom in and obviously see a lot more detail, so you could go from 25 times to 60 times. With that variable magnification, you get a variable field of view. So for example, on this spotting scope, the eyepiece is 25 times and I can zoom up to 60 times. So at 25 times, I'm seeing the scene magnified 25 times. At 60 times, I'm seeing the same scene, but much more magnified at 60 times. The field of view is reduced as you zoom up through the magnification. So always remember, lower magnification, wider field of view, you'll see more of the scene. Higher magnification, you'll see more detail, see closer, but you will get a reduced field of view. So let's use this spotting scope with this eyepiece, the 25 to 60, as an example. When I have the eyepiece set to 25 times optical zoom, my field of view at 1,000 meters is 42 meters. So you can see how that increase in magnification reduces the field of view much more than it does if you're using a wide angle binocular, but you are magnifying it far more. So you're seeing much more detail, but you get a narrower field of view. With the binoculars, I'm getting a lot less magnification, 10 times, but I'm seeing a much wider field of view at 108 meters. If I then zoom up through the eyepiece and go up to the maximum of 60 times, my field of view is reduced to 23 meters. Because I'm highly magnifying that image, I'm seeing less of the scene, so the best I can get at 1,000 meters distance is a field of view of 23 meters. Visually, it's very easy for me to show you what that means in terms of field of view. If I put my smartphone adapter onto the scope, I can video the scene at 25 times, then I can zoom in up to 60 times and you'll see what that reduced field of view does. I've got the scope lined up on two rocks over on the headland over there. You can just about see them with your eye in the distance, but you can see on the spotting scope at 25 times optical zoom, I get a much closer view, but my view is far more condensed. If you look now at 25 times optical zoom, you can see the two rocks, and you can also see some of the headland either side of those two rocks. That's at 25 times optical. That's my field of view that's available at that magnification. As I zoom up, the field of view narrows. Now I just about get both rocks into the scene, but I am seeing them much more closer.